Max Verstappen. A lot of people are looking at the situation at Red Bull presently, especially with Max Verstappen's anger yesterday and how he was able to hear his frustration yesterday. Good evening, guys. My name is Damilare. As you all know, this is Exon F1 and we're going to discuss the situation at Red Bull. With Mercedes on the prowl for Max Verstappen and hoping he can win more championship at Red Bull, it's becoming very, very clear that the advantage Red Bull had over everybody is gone. There's no more advantage. It is now the drivers doing their thing. And I can tell you, it's not that McLaren has a big advantage. I will still explain McLaren in another video. They don't have a big advantage. It's because everybody, like the top 4 teams, are almost on the level playing field in which McLaren and Red Bull are the ones at top. Then we have Mercedes and Ferrari still trying to get their bearing and where they are going to. But with the frustrations at Red Bull, it's showing that the pressure I talked about last year is working out. Put Red Bull under pressure, they will fall. Now, the team as a whole are finding it difficult to understand the concept of winning again, since other teams are putting them under pressure. If you look at the last 5 races, gunning down from the Spanish GP, you will see that Red Bull have lost the advantage. From the qualifying to the race, Max Verstappen was never happy. He kept on talking about upgrades, how to make the car better, performance, this and that. But I've been saying this since China, in which I noticed that the upgrades they brought did not work. And I knew this would happen. So, what is really happening? The advantage Red Bull are having in races is totally gone. It's not there again. So, the teams have catch up with them. Teams like McLaren are totally on par with them, like I said earlier. So Red Bull are struggling. Now, this really shows in the last GP yesterday. That was the Hungarian Grand Prix. From Saturday, Max Verstappen had not been happy with the car. Even from Friday, but on Saturday it was worse. After his qualifying, he didn't even go back outside to try and set a better pace. He was just shaking his head that this car is just not there. He complained about the rear of the car not gripping. And if you look at the driving style of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, they have almost the same driving style. They want the front of the car pointed and the rear to be able to match what the front is giving them. So when they are turning, the rear should be giving them as in the way they want it, which is not happening, and they are struggling. Openly we can see these guys are struggling, and Max Verstappen is like giving them ultimatum. You guys need to do something. You guys are not giving me what I need. You guys are not making me feel that this car is good to race, and he's really complaining. But the team do not have anything to do because they are first in the championship. They have less tunnel time, and they've gone into a direction of design which they don't understand, and they're trying to understand. Now the upgrades they brought worked, but it didn't really give them what they want. They are not really where they want to be with the upgrades Red Bull brought this weekend, and it showed in this frustration because they are just learning new things about the rear, not gripping, which causes struggles in qualifying and in the race. His struggle started when he had to give the place back to Lando Norris, and on from there he had been really on a bad mood and on a bad note with his race engineer, and they had a lot of argument all through the race in which he said so many wrongful words that he should not have said. And I think Max Verstappen should apologize, but he said he won't apologize. Anyone that wants him to apologize should just go back home and sit. And I think he said that in Austria. Nobody cautioned him. Now he's saying it not just to the fans but to the team. I think this is showing there's a breaking down in Red Bull. They need to handle it as soon as possible, because if this breaking down is not handled, it will degenerate in Belgium, and maybe on the mid-season break they can find their bearing and see how they can mend it. But I don't see how they think they can mend this, because this guy is really angry. Even on the team radio, he was told that they sent doctors to come and check him. He said the doctors should go and check the stewards, which I think he should get a penalty for again, because he's not talking to people that are of his age mate or people that he can control. He's talking to people that are controlling the race. These are stewards. These are people that understand racing and are older than him and give rules. And I think he should be penalized for that, because that is a very wrong statement to say. But unfortunately, he was not penalized for the incident with Lewis Hamilton. Maybe because Lewis Hamilton kept on saying it's a racing incident and he didn't want to bring or build hostility between the two of them. Right now, they are not fighting for championship. The closest rival to Max Verstappen is Lando Norris, not even Charles Leclerc, not even his own teammate Sergio Perez. His closest rival right now is Lando Norris. He himself knows fighting against him now is not possible. He needs a very good car, and they need to win consistently so that they can fight against Max Verstappen. So him saying that, I think, is just being too nice of Lewis Hamilton and trying to look for a balance. So if you look at the past 5-6 races in which the advantage had been winning off and this guy had been talking about, Red Bull had been making mistakes in those races. In Spanish race, they were only able to win or to lead Lando Norris by just 2 seconds, which Lando Norris could have won the race. Austrian GP, they had a collision. George Russell won. Lewis Hamilton won the Silverstone. Now Oscar Piastri winning and himself fighting for third position and could not fight and went back to fifth position shows they have a long way to go. Red Bull are much focused on Sergio Perez trying to drive the car the way they want him to drive, but they are not focused on how the car is meant to work the way they are meant to win the championship, which is the main issues they are having. And I think number one thing they need to do is to talk to Max Verstappen so they won't lose him to Mercedes, because Mercedes are really on the prowl now with all the situations happening, and Mercedes almost matching Red Bull. So it might be a best decision for him and his father to move to Mercedes, but we don't know yet. And two, they need to caution him about the way he talks, the way he says things. Yes, he's somebody that loves saying his mind the way he feels, but sometimes he says things that will hurt people and will hurt his teammate, the team, and people around him. I think they need to caution him there. Also, three, I think there are more things for Red Bull to do about the mistakes they're making. If you look at their pit stops now, it's all shambolic. As in, Red Bull were doing 1 second 9/10, 2 seconds, but now they are doing 2.8 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds sometimes recently, and it shows the pressure is there. Now, the change of tires, what they will do when to pit, is also bringing a whole lot of weight on them because this championship is more closer. They need to sit down and look at the decisions, especially during the mid-season break. It's more than bringing upgrades that will work. They need to sit down and look at the upgrades they are bringing, their strategy, how they can make it work, and how it will benefit all of them, because if they don't have the right strategy, they will keep losing all the remaining races for this season. And that gives McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari a higher opportunity of winning races this season, and that might knock them off, because if McLaren can win the Constructors' Championship, it's a plus for them. They've really worked that, they deserve it. And if Red Bull can win the Drivers' Championship, does not have much, it's just a single glory, in which I think if McLaren shoot their shot very well, they might even still win. So I think Red Bull have a lot of work to do, mentally, structurally, and they need to get themselves back together. And they need all hands on deck. They need Sergio Perez this time. Sergio Perez don't need them. They need Sergio Perez this time. If they want to ask him, I think it's going to be a great loss for them. They need him more this time than he needs them. For Max Verstappen to win, they need him to win the championship. And taking him out might destabilize the team. So Red Bull has a lot of work to do. They need to focus on themselves and see how they can win this championship. That's what I think Red Bull needs to do. Yeah. So guys, see you next video. I love you guys. Bye. Cheers.